spent a lifetime running from this aspect of myself. Denying half of your being is no way to live. Trust me. I have been struggling with this for years. The best that I could do was merge my two halves. I don't think you have thought through how dangerous this level of power is. Do you know the damage you can cause?
What's up, everybody? It's Josh. I want to talk about Hulk in the She-Hulk show because I think there's actually some teases at what they're probably going to do with Hulk in the MCU, and I think it's going to be freaking wild. But first, let's address the cardigan-wearing elephant in the room, and that is that Smart Hulk is frankly not what most Hulk fans want. Now, I know there are people out there that enjoy Professor Hulk, aka Smart Hulk, and you're loving what's going on with Hulk in the MCU, but I will just point out that the majority of comic book fans and even probably normie MCU fans are yearning to have the Savage Hulk back. Most of the stories in Marvel Comics that have to do with Hulk have to do with him being incredibly badass, incredibly powerful, going crazy, and becoming a massive threat for everyone around him. Hulk was a character essentially created to be as strong as Thor, if not more powerful than Thor. As the more angry the Hulk gets, the more powerful he gets, and there's next to no limits on how powerful he can become. And to me, unfortunately, in the first episode of She-Hulk, you get a lot of that continuation of Smart Hulk, and it's really not going in the direction I think many of us want.
Bruh.
However, I do think there are a few clues in the episode as to what Marvel is going to be doing with Hulk, and I believe we're getting the Alpha Chad Savage Strong AF Hulk back in the MCU. First, let's talk about this ship that showed up that caused the crash that essentially makes She-Hulk. This is referred to as a ship from Skaar, and this Skaarian ship is looking to get a message to Bruce Banner. And the pretty well-established rumor at this point is that this has to do with Skaar, the son of the Hulk. And it's even reported that by the end of the She-Hulk show, Hulk will be leaving planet Earth with Skaar, going back to Skaar for some kind of a purpose. And according to Casey Walsh, this is likely to set up a World War Hulk movie, or perhaps even a Disney Plus film event thing. In the Planet Hulk storyline from the comic books, Hulk is tricked by the Illuminati to enter a ship. That ship then jettisons him off of Earth because Earth is just not safe as long as Hulk is going to be there. He lands on this planet. After overthrowing the Red King who was in charge of the planet, Hulk becomes king of that planet, takes a wife, and everything's all Gucci in Hulkland until the spaceship that he arrived in self-destructs, blowing up many people and killing the Hulk's wife. And at the time, Hulk was convinced that this was done intentionally by the Illuminati. And so he comes back to planet Earth stronger than he has ever been, more angry than he has ever been. And the feats of World War Hulk are just absolutely incredible. Like, this character was about to destroy the planet just by fighting the Sentry. For a long time in Marvel Comics, this was considered the strongest version of Hulk. Now, technically, there are more strong versions now with other stories that came out after this, but at the time, this was it. This was Hulk at his most powerful and most savage. But now let's talk about the son of Hulk, Skaar, and maybe then we can speculate about how these different stories would be tied together in the MCU. You see, Hulk has a son with his wife, and this son lives in something like a cocoon on the planet, emerging in a lake of fire. And basically, because he can't die, he doesn't even need air, water, or food. He just lives and eventually comes out of this protective cocoon and then grows up on the planet. Now, Skaar is what you would expect of the son of Hulk. I mean, he's awesome, very powerful, very strong, but he also has this crazy tribal power called the Old Power that his mother's tribe sort of worshipped and utilized from that planet. That power makes him insanely strong, but it also attracts Galactus to the planet. And sort of the TLDR on this is that the Silver Surfer comes looking for this power, saying that Galactus is coming. He offers to Skaar to give this power from the planet to Galactus, and that would basically satiate Galactus's hunger for like 1,000 years, and it would save all these different people. Skaar's like not down with that. They come to blows. It's pretty crazy. And we know that the MCU adapts versions of the comic book stories and does things way differently on the silver screen, right? Like Civil War wasn't like Civil War in the comics, and Age of Ultron wasn't like the one in the comics. They're going to adjust it and make it different. And so if World War Hulk is really on the table and it has to do with Skaar, perhaps this old power, this all power thing is going to play into Galactus, have him come to the planet, and perhaps that planet and the people there will be destroyed, and that will somehow put the anger of Hulk back on Earth, whether the intelligentsia or some other party or team that's established in She-Hulk has something to do with this or not. Regardless, I think the basic idea will be something's going to take Hulk back to Skaar, and something tragic will then happen, which will really piss Hulk off, and he'll come back to Earth. Now, the other thing I want to talk about from episode 1 of She-Hulk that I think hints at more Savage Hulk coming is just the small amounts of anger and frustration that we see coming through when Hulk is trying to train his cousin. And it may seem like it was just played up for laughs, or perhaps they're doing a certain thing just to make these scenes more dynamic, but I actually think that there are little hints within the different interactions that Hulk has with Jennifer that suggest that this Professor Hulk thing, this re-merge situation, is not going according to plan, and Banner is starting to lose control of his anger. And this smart Hulk, right? Like this version of Hulk is absolutely not tapped into the power that he could be. I mean, he's somewhat struggling in a fight against Jennifer here, where even the Hulk that we saw in Avengers and Age of Ultron would not have struggled in that way at all. This is something that we do see explored in Avengers Endgame when Hulk is like pretending to smash, after the actual Savage Hulk moves past them, and it's just not the same. Like he's clearly not tapped in to the same level of power that he once had. And I think it's possible that the anger and the frustration and the jealousy that Bruce is feeling in this first episode are little hints to us, the audience, that this is not going well, that he doesn't have full control, that this merging is not working. And as more powerful people, other Hulk-like individuals, start to pop up around Earth, Bruce might understand and realize that this version of Hulk is not the best one, not the one that can actually protect all of these different people. And depending on what is threatening Skaar, and if Skaar is trying to get Hulk to go back to Skaar to help him, Bruce may realize that he's going to need the other guy. He's going to need to do something different to become more savage. And I think that will lead us to a more savage version of the Hulk happening. Now, one sort of bonus crazy thing that I wanted to throw into this video, because I see a scenario in which this is being teased out as well, is the idea of Maestro, a version of Hulk that is just as smart as Banner, but just as strong and savage as the Hulk. This guy comes from an alternate timeline where he becomes evil, snaps, kills like everybody on the planet, and conquers the world. The Maestro is an incredible version of the Hulk, and as long as we're getting smart Hulk here, and with the possibility of Hulk trying to do a different version of smart Hulk that could perhaps make him even more powerful, I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel throws in a version of Hulk in the Maestro, perhaps even attached to Kang and the time travel craziness, and have smart Hulk in the current MCU branch off into a variant in which he becomes this evil conquering force in the Maestro. And yeah, that one's a little bit fanboy dreaming and very speculative, but I frankly think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Hulk is going to get back to his more savage, brutal ways, and yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. So let me know your thoughts about this. Do you believe that Savage Hulk is coming back to the MCU? Or do you think it's cardigans and cocktails for Hulk for the rest of his tenure here in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comment section. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel to see a ton more of this fun, nerdy content.